Hi there, Ram owners. Today in your 2019 Ram 3500 cab and chassis, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install CURT's Class 5 2.5-inch trailer hitch receiver. On your cab and chassis, it gives you plenty of room to get everything in place and plenty of room to work with as well. It features a Class 5 2.5-inch by 2.5-inch receiver here at the back, which is going to be great for all of your heavy-duty and commercial needs. It uses a 5/8-inch hitch pin and clip. One doesn't come included with the hitch, but we have some available here at etrailer.com here. On bottom, we have very large openings for our plate-style safety chain loops. They have very thick metal that runs around the outside, since it is such a heavy-duty application, so some of your smaller safety chains may have difficulties getting around that metal. But we have quick links available at etrailer.com here, which will allow you to adapt your safety chain loops for any size that you may have. It features a 2,700 pound tongue weight, which is the force going down on top of the receiver. And that's going to be more than enough for the heavy loads you would expect a hitch like this to pull. Typically your tongue weight on your trailer when properly loaded should be about 10% of whatever you're hauling. With 2,700 pounds, that's an awful lot that you can put there on the back. It also features a 20,000 pound gross towing capacity, which is how much that it can pull behind it. And you can see there that our tongue weight exceeds 10% of that, so we can ensure that we can properly load down our vehicle. And with 20,000 pounds, you should have no problem taking your flatbed trailer loaded up with your work equipment and take it off to the next job site. You can use a weight distribution system with this hitch. The tongue weight and towing capacities will stay the same, but a weight distribution system will help alleviate some of the weight here on the rear axle and transfer it to the front axle, leveling out the ride, restoring lost steering and handling performance. We've got weight distribution systems available here at etrailer.com, so you can choose the best one that suits your needs. As always, I do recommend that you verify in your vehicle's owner's manual and ensure you don't exceed any of its towing capacities. Now I've got some measurements here to help you in deciding on your accessories. Typically we measure from the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of the rear bumper for your folding accessories. We don't have a bumper on here, so I'm just going to give you the measurement from the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of our receiver, which is about 2 3/4 inches. And from the ground to the top inside edge of the receiving tube, it measures about 21.5 inches. This is important when determining if you need a drop, a rise, or a raise shank for any of your accessories. This hitch is custom designed for your Ram truck. There is some drilling required. Let's go over that together so you can have the confidence to do it at home. We'll begin our installation at the back of the vehicle. Right at the very end of the frame, you'll have a rivet located on each side. We're going to drill these rivets out, and this is going to be our starting point where we're going to be mounting our hitch. We're going to use a 3/8 drill bit to remove the rivet, so just starting at the center of the rivet, just drill right on through. Once you've got it drilled, the bottom sometimes can come off, but the rivet can still be stuck in the hole. Just use a hammer and a punch to knock the rest out. We'll then repeat the same process on the other side. Once we've got the rivets out, we'll need to enlarge the holes using an 11/16 drill bit. Then we'll enlarge the hole on the other side as well. With our rivets all drilled out and enlarged, we're going to prepare our hardware. Each carriage bolt's going to get a spacer placed on it, and they're going to go from the top down. We're going to be using these in a moment as just holders for our hitch when we lift it up here, because we're going to be using the hitch as a template. So having two ready, one for each side, will make things easier. Now that we've got our rivets drilled out, we'll lift our hitch up, lining up the slotted holes at the rearmost of our hitch with the holes that we drilled for our rivets. We'll take the hardware that we prepared. We're going to slide it down through the frame and through our hitch. And then take a nut and put it on the bottom side. Once we've got one on each side, the hitch will hold itself up. And we can tighten these down so it draws our hitch up against the bottom of the frame. You just want to double check it and make sure that it looks like it's centered left to right, because we're going to be using our hitch as a template to drill out the rest of our holes. So then we'll take our paint stick and we're just going to go down, find our holes in our hitch, and we're going to mark out the frame. We're going to do the same thing with the rearmost hole, front hole, and then the holes on the opposite side. So you should have 4 total holes marked, 2 on each side. We can then take our hitch back down, drill our holes. We'll now use our 11/16 drill bit again to drill out the holes that we had marked. If you like, you could use a smaller drill bit to start for a pilot hole and then step it up to 11/16. We've got a fairly decent bit here, and the metal seems to be soft enough that it drills through just fine, so we're just going to go straight with the 11/16. Now that we have this hole drilled out, we're going to repeat that for the remaining hole on this side and the other two on the other side. Before we put our hitch up, it is a good idea to move this wiring out of the way here. I already popped it out of this small hole here. You can see this. There's still another one right here, a little bit further towards the front of the vehicle. We're just going to use our screwdriver to pull that up. It can be a little hard to see. We're here on top of the frame, so you can kind of get a little bit better look. You just take your screwdriver down the frame, get up underneath the wiring, and then you pop up that tab just so we can set it aside so we don't pinch it when we're tightening down our bolts. We've lifted our hitch back up and supported it using the same rear holes we did before when we did our template. This time though, we left them loose. You can see there's a gap here, so this way we can move our hitch around so we can get the rest of our hardware to line up with the holes that we drilled out. We'll take the hardware we prepared and going from the top of the frame down to the holes we drilled. And again, this is why we left it loose, so we could move that over, get that to line up. On the bottom side, we're going to put a flange nut. We're still going to leave this loose because we're going to repeat that same step with all the remaining holes. So we have one more on this side, and then we have the two on the other side. Now that all of our hardware is loosely installed, we can take a 22mm socket and go back and tighten all of that down. We can then go back and torque all of our hardware to the specifications found in our instructions. And that completes our installation of CURT's 2.5-inch Class 5 trailer hitch receiver on our 2019 Ram 3500 cab and chassis.